Janibek Alimkhanuly has been stripped of his IBF middleweight title. The information is long in coming, but it's time to discuss what's going on with Janibek. What's good? This is Stormybman with another Stormybman'S briefs. This time, the subject is Janibek Alimkhanuly has been stripped by the IBF of his middleweight title. The ruling has come after he could not meet his mandatory defense after a suspension tied to a positive drug test. Janibek, who's 17-0 with 12 KOs, has been stripped of the IBF middleweight title following a suspension tied to a positive drug test. The ruling leaves the unbeaten Kazakh southpaw returning with only the WBO belt once the suspension ends. IBF Championships Committee Chairman George Martinez confirmed that the decision came down to timing. The organization had scheduled a mandatory defense for early July, but the suspension made it impossible for Janibek to meet the obligation. Alimkhanuly has been unable to fulfill his mandatory defense obligation on July 4, 2026, Martinez wrote in the ruling circulated for the IBF board. Accordingly, the IBF middleweight title should be vacated immediately. The disciplinary process began after Janibek tested positive for meldonium and was pulled from a planned unification fight with WBA champion Erislandi Lara late last year. Kazakhstan's Professional Boxing Federation later issued a 6-month suspension backdated to December 2nd, the date Janibek was removed from the Lara fight. The Association of Boxing Commissions recognized the penalty and set a June reinstatement date. IBF rules go further, however. Fighters under anti-doping suspension cannot compete in IBF-sanctioned fights for a full year. That restriction runs through December 2nd, 2026, which prevented Janibek from defending the title within the organization's mandatory schedule. Medical records submitted during the investigation stated that the substance entered Janibek's system during emergency treatment in Kazakhstan. Doctors treated him for severe neurological symptoms, later diagnosed as transient ischemic attack, and administered Repronat, a medication containing meldonium that is legal domestically. An 8-member disciplinary panel ruled the violation involved minimal negligence and issued the reduced suspension. Even with that finding, the IBF calendar was left little room to maneuver. The ruling ends a title reign that began when Janibek stopped Vincenzo Gualtieri in October 2023 to unify the IBF and WBO belts. The decision also opens the door for a new IBF champion to emerge at middleweight, Italy's Ettinosa Oliha, who's 21-0 with 9 KOs, and Britain's Shaquille Thompson, who's 15-0 with 11 KOs, sit near the top of the rankings, are expected to be considered for a fight for the vacant title. Thompson is currently scheduled to face Brad Pauls later this month in Manchester, which could complicate immediate plans for a title fight. Janibek will still have a path into the IBF picture once his suspension expires, but the ruling removes him from the sanctioning body's championship line for the rest of the year. The middleweight division now has one less unified champion and one more vacant belt waiting to be claimed. All of this is a bunch of malarkey because there are fighters who are currently testing positive and finding excuses and loopholes to escape out of banned substances inexplicably being found in their systems. Carlos Adames, who was slated to unify against Janibek, has been solid at middleweight and defending his WBC middleweight title. The article that I just read from can be found in Boxing News 24, but this is something that we have to pay attention to, as a number of these fighters are continuously finding themselves popping dirty here, there, everywhere with banned substances. If the substances were okay and verified, it would be okay, but that's not the case. This is Stormy B Man. Shout out to the mighty LDBC and Liberated Perspective, the third eye view of the world. Peace to everyone out there, and everyone please remain safe.